So now let's step forward and actually install one of these tools. The first one we're looking at is a tool called Hakrawler from a amazing dude named HakLuke. Luke, go ahead and tell us more about what Hakrawler is.
Hakrawler is a web crawler. So basically, you feed it a website or many websites, and it will navigate to those websites, and then it will find all of the links in that page, and then it will navigate to those links, and it will navigate to the links in those pages and those pages and those pages to as many levels down as you specify. So as a hacker, I guess one of the things that you're looking for is just coverage over web applications and making sure you can cover things or discover things with the least amount of manual work possible, because it's quite a daunting task to like discover every single link or feature in a web application manually. So this just kind of automates that process, decently. And it also, I wanted it to be fast because basically that means that you can use it over many different websites. So if you're, for example, hacking on a target that has, 100 different web servers, then you can just pass those 100 web servers straight to Hakrawler, and it will crawl through all of them. And then you can kind of just scroll through the JavaScript files that it found or any of the links that it found and look for any interesting parameters or whatever that it discovers, and use those to start your hacking process. So yeah, that's pretty much what it's for.
Yeah, and I was testing it out before this call, and it's insanely fast. I mean, just like, boom, it's there. Like, oh my gosh, like, did it really do it? Let me go double check. Yeah, no, it did everything. Now, just real quick, I mean, people may not know who you are. Who are you? What are you about?
Yeah, okay. Well, I come from a web development background. So I was, coding websites and developing websites and different web apps, basically. And I've always been interested in hacking. So I eventually switched over to the dark side, and I got a job as a penetration tester. And I did that for a while. And then I started getting really interested in bug bounties, just because, I wanted to keep hacking at night, because it's, big passion of mine, obviously. And so I started doing bug bounties, and I got really involved in that. And then eventually I actually ended up working for BugCrowd as like a manager there, basically hiring and training a team of triagers there. And after that, I decided to start my own cybersecurity consultancy. So for the last probably 13 months now, just over a year, I've been running my consultancy called HackSec. We do kind of penetration testing and things like that. And also recently started doing hacker content. So I noticed that, going through a bunch of different cybersecurity organizations, I realized that they're pretty much all bad at content marketing. So I decided to try and fix that problem by basically offering a service to create really good cybersecurity content for different cybersecurity organizations. And that's been going really well too. So
amazing. So like you're on your own now, like you're your own boss. You don't work for anyone right now.
No, I don't work for anyone. No, pick my own hours, all that, which is really handy at the moment, as you know, because I've got a second child on the way. You know all about that.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, no, it's just like it's kind of a decision I made to go out on my own, mostly for the flexibility and the freedom, and it's been really cool. I've learned a lot.
So I love hearing stories like that, because like I made the same jump myself. It's a scary thing, but it's also like the most fun thing in the world. It gives you so much freedom, and you feel like a boss because you are the boss, and it's awesome. So you've been on your own for how long now?
I've been totally on my own for just over a year. And you're so right. It offers you a lot of freedom, but also I think naturally you find a lot more meaning in your work, because everything that you do is completely for yourself. You really are inspired to go above and beyond in the things that you do, and if you provide services, the services you provide, or the product you're creating, or whatever you're doing, you really are inspired to go above and beyond and make that product good, because you're the only one that reaps the benefits. Whereas, when you're working for someone else, at least I found that I want to do my job well, obviously, but it's not quite the same, because you're always going to earn like the same salary, or they might offer you a pay rise or whatever, but the incentive is not as tangible when you're working for someone else as it is working for yourself. So
it's definitely different, because I mean the stakes are different. Like if you're working for a company,
Yeah.
if you do a good job, that company does well, their name is lifted up. And if you do a terrible job, it doesn't really affect you either, because their name is brought down a bit. Like, so you're kind of covered. But like when it's your own thing, it's like everything you do reflects on you.
Yeah.
And when you do a good job,
that's
it's you. It's you doing a good job, not anyone else.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you make these tools like Hakrawler to help you do what you do. I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
So why make this tool? I mean, because like I know I've looked around. There are other tools that do subdomain listing. They look through things. Some of the ones are like Turbo Lister and get all URLs. So why make your own?
I always, sometimes I make my own tools. I usually don't spend more than a couple of days making a tool, or even like one day. But it's usually just to scratch my own itch, as I say. So like I'll be doing some particular task and I just don't know of a good way to do that, or an effective way to do that. So I just write a quick Golang tool to do it for me. And sometimes after I make it, I'll post about it on Twitter or whatever. And someone will come back and be like, oh, this other person's tool already does this. And I'm like, well, if I knew that existed, I wouldn't have done it myself. I would have just used that. So really, like, it's more of a convenience thing for me. Like if I can find any task I do regularly that is, could be automated without too much time investment, then I'll basically write a tool for it. So it's basically being lazy. It's just automating things that I do repetitively, or that are not particularly fun to do or whatever. If I can automate that, I will. That's basically it. And that's the beauty of coding, in my opinion. That's the primary use case for coding, is automating things that you don't want to do manually, or things that computers can do better than humans.
Yeah, I mean, I know you don't have to know, like, you don't have to be a coder like yourself to be a hacker or do bug bounty, but being able to code your own tools like this to automate things certainly makes you better, and it's certainly an asset. So I wish I knew more coding. Now, I'm curious, why not Python? Why Golang? Are you just more comfortable with it, or is it actually faster?
So I knew Python before I knew Golang. But yeah, ultimately, Golang has native concurrency, and that's the main reason I use it. Also, because it's a compiled language, it's just a bit faster. But, it really depends. You can certainly write the same tool in Python and Golang, and the Golang one might be slower if you don't code it in a way that is particularly effective or efficient. So it just really depends. But yeah, I can write in Python as well, quite well. But I end up writing everything in Golang these days, just because I don't know. I just like it being compiled. I like my tools to be compiled, and I just really like Golang as a language. But yeah, the main thing is concurrency. That's what keeps me with Golang. It's just faster. And a lot of the things that I do, like a lot of the things that I code them because I want to do them over a bunch of different targets or something like that. So being concurrent is like really important, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, most people, I guess, when they jump in and they try a tool, they're running it against like one URL. Like, oh, that was cool, that was fun, but like you're doing this against, you might be doing a bug bounty and you're going against a bunch of URLs, a bunch of subdomains and everything, or you're doing an entire company that has a bunch of different URLs. So you got to just like, bam, set it, forget it, let it run quickly while you're doing something else. Is that kind of the routine for you?
Pretty much, yeah. And bug bounty automation has been a love of mine for years now, many years. Although in recent times, like I haven't been doing many bug bounties since I started HackSec, because I've been kind of fulfilling my hacking needs with penetration testing and stuff. But
I love how you describe it like a drug. You're like, I wasn't getting enough during the day with my regular job, so I had to go home and hit it. But now with my regular job, it's really fulfilling me. I'm good. That's which hacking is kind of.
That's exactly how I feel. Actually, it's like, yeah, it's just this. I don't know. It's this rush with hacking. You find a good vulnerability, and there's no better feeling. It's really good.
So now that you're doing pen testing, which I know there's a lot of overlap between bug bounty and pen testing, but for you, like, what's the main difference, and what do you get more of a kick out of nowadays?
Well, actually, I get more of a kick out of bug bounties, and always have. The difference is the incentive model. So when you do a penetration test, whether you do it with your own consultancy, or you're a freelancer, or you work for someone else, the way that it's billed and the way that you get paid is for your time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether you find in a penetration test, whether you find a bunch of critical vulnerabilities and tear the app apart, or whatever you're hacking, no matter how well you do, you get paid the same. And there's more to life than money, of course. But there's no better rush than on a bug bounty finding a good critical vulnerability and getting like a $5,000 or $10,000 payout for that. And something about that incentive model where you're getting paid for providing the best value per bug is really kind of inspiring. And it just makes me want to hack on bug bounties more. It's more addictive. I think that's what it is. It's like I don't know, like with a penetration test, I guess the goal is to provide coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Usually customers, say you're testing a web application, which is like the bread and butter of penetration testing. The customer is really concerned with you having tested all the functionality and providing the most value by providing the most coverage on the application. Whereas when you're doing bug bounties, the application's been covered a bunch of times before by other people. So your value really comes in by digging deep and focusing on functionality at a very micro level, and really digging into the details and trying to find bugs that are quite technical. So yeah, there's something really cool about that.
Yeah, I totally see that. Yeah, because when you get hired by someone to test their application, you're not always going to find something novel or amazing. It might just be a typical thing, especially if you're really good at automating. It's probably just gonna be like just another Wednesday, like when you're just running a test, found the same thing that you found on the other guy's thing because everyone does the same thing. I mean, is that kind of how it is? Is pen testing pretty repetitive?
It is pretty repetitive, yeah. Obviously every target that you test is different, and there are different types of tests. There's like web applications, or you can do internal networks or external infrastructure, or you can do, mobile apps, or even, I've done a few like kiosks, like
wow.
like in fast food restaurants where you order things. So that there's a bit of fun there, but ultimately, like, most of the tests I do are web applications. And most of the actual testing I'm doing is pretty standard when I'm doing penetration tests. So I do like doing bug bounties because you kind of get more freedom over what you attack. So if you see an interesting target, you're not like, well, that's not really. If you see an interesting target, you can attack it as long as it's in scope of the program. Mm-hmm. Whereas with a penetration test, typically you've got a narrower scope. And you have to focus on that, and I don't know. It's just different. It's really different.
No, I totally get it.
I find it hard to explain, but for some reason, bug bounties are just far more addictive, for me at least. Yeah.
But it does sound like bug bounty is really, really hard to sustain, which is why a father like yourself would go for pen testing, because it's more steady and people need those tests. And
yeah.
Now, I'm imagining you probably use all the same tools that you built for automating bug bounty to do your pen testing.
Yes. I do use my own tools a lot. And pretty much, most of my pen testing, especially if I'm dealing with web applications, is just Burp Suite, or Kaido, or one of the, Zap Proxy, or one of those alternatives. But yeah, just basically a good proxy where you can view and edit HTTP requests, and everything else is basically convenience. So any tools that I write beyond that are just added convenience, I suppose. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, how many? I was looking at some of the things. Like I was trying to do some of the training it with was it hack trails that you made as well? That keys in with security trails. I was trying to get that going. I'm like, I don't have enough time. So how many tools have you written?
Oh, I don't know.
That's
if
crazy.
you have a look at, so almost all of them are open sourced, and I like to just open source everything. But I'll just have a look at my GitHub profile. So if you want to look at it, it's github.com/HakLuke, but hack doesn't have a C, so HakLuke. So I've got 98 repositories here, but I think a bunch of them will be forks rather than actual things that I've coded. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not going to go through and count them, but quite a few. Maybe
lot.
20, something like that I've actually released. And I've got some others that are I want to release them, but I just think I kind of want to polish them a bit before I release them, because otherwise I'll release them and nobody will understand how to use it. And, it might be a bit buggy and whatever. So I want to at least get it to a bit of a minimum standard before I release it. But yeah, there's some cool stuff coming out soon.
Oh, so I'm excited about that, and it's also highly appreciated when you actually make sure it works. And I was testing out, like I tried every installation method that you mentioned on your GitHub, which having multiple is amazing. So real quick, just for people watching, how can we install this Hakrawler tool?
Yeah, so the installation instructions are on the repository in the README file. And if you just go to github.com/HakLuke/Hakrawler, it's all there. You can install it through just using Go. If you install Go on your computer, you can do it that way. There's a Docker install. And also if you're using Kali Linux, you can use apt as well. But the apt version is apparently out of date currently. So I'd recommend, if you are happy to use any of those methods, I'd recommend using the Go one, because it will mean that you'll have the most up-to-date version installed.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. Awesome. Now, I did have one thing, though. When I was trying out Docker, it seemed the only image available on Docker Hub was for ARM architecture and not AMD.
Okay. I'll have to fix that.
Yeah, so I'm going to put a pull request in or something. I got a bug here, buddy.
Yeah, do it.
No, otherwise, no. I skipped that. I just built it in a Docker container, the build way, and which worked great.
Yeah.
And I prefer Docker. It's so much easier.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I actually didn't put the Docker stuff in. Someone else did that through a pull request. So I'll have to check it out. I don't even know how to add something to Docker Hub. Don't even know.
Oh yeah, it's actually. I think I have a video on it somewhere. I don't think I do, but yeah, if you need help with that, let me know. I've done it a few times.
Yeah, sure. Awesome.
Anyways, Luke, this has been awesome. I loved your tool. I love the hacker mindset of just going out there to make your own tool to do something to automate. I mean, you said it was lazy, sure, but you still coded something, which I think is not lazy at all. But it is cool that you're like, okay, I could go through and do all this work, manually do URLs, or make it do something I don't want it to do, or try out old tools. And sure, you could have really found another tool. You could have put the work into Google something, but instead you're like, you know what? I'm just going to make my own thing, which I think is like the coolest thing ever. And also, you're adding to the community. People can hack better. They can learn more things by using your tools. So thank you for doing that. It's awesome.
Oh, it's so fun. I really enjoy it. Yeah. It's partly selfish, but I think it's good to open source everything you create as well, and just make sure that other people are learning from your learning as well. Everything that you give out to the universe comes back tenfold. So go for it. And I think too with GitHub, a lot of people that I speak to about this stuff, they're afraid to release their code because they think it's going to get picked to pieces. And it's the same with writing blogs, releasing videos, anything like that, people are just so scared to start. And I always say, like, just do it, just start. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if it sucks. And maybe there'll be one or two people always that kind of are negative towards what you're doing, but in the end, it doesn't matter as long as your heart's in the right place and you're releasing, you're being open with the things that you're creating. I think the majority of people will always appreciate what you're doing. And and I don't need to tell you this because you obviously do this all the time. But yeah, I'm sure you encounter similar things with people messaging and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and that's so well said. And I love that you said that because people need to understand. You just have to put your story out there, put yourself out there. It's not gonna be perfect, and even if it's as perfect as you think, like you think it's like the best thing ever, someone's gonna pick you apart. Someone's gonna do it. And I know for the longest time, I was like, I never put anything on GitHub. I'm like, GitHub's for coders. I'm not really a coder. I just started doing random stuff, and don't look at my GitHub, by the way. It's just full of garbage. But I just put myself out there, just put things out there. I think it's more about the ideas. Like, sure, someone could come in with amazing coding skills and tear me apart and make it way better than what I did. But it's the ideas that I think will stand and can be, manipulated and made better. But anyways.
And that does happen. That does happen. Like a lot of the tools I make, are an idea, literally just an iteration of an idea, and people come along and either create their own tool that does the same thing better, which is awesome. Like I'm all for it, or they make a pull request to mine and make my tool better. But that's what the hacking community is all about too. Even in the early stages of hacking, collaboration was how we moved forward, and it always will be how we move forward. And one of my favorite quotes is that hacking is built on ideas, right? And ideas are only useful if we share them with other people and we're kind of collaborating with each other. So I think, GitHub is just like the way to do that for coders. But of course, making videos is another way to do that. Whatever, the more ways you can put your ideas out there, the better, I think,
Excellent.
Encourage everyone to do it.
Very well said. I know. Just so people can find you, where can they look you up and learn more about HakLuke?
Okay, well, seeing as I'm guessing this will be on YouTube, you can find me. I actually have a YouTube channel, although I'm a bit slack on it, to be honest. But it's youtube.com/HakLuke, HakLuke. But you can also find me mostly where I'm most active is on Twitter. So twitter.com/HakLuke. You can also find my website, HakLuke.com, which has links to everywhere. So maybe that's the best avenue. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
And also, real quick, how is it just you right now with your company, or do you have a team? Are you looking to hire? What's the situation right now?
I have a bunch of contractors, so I haven't hired anyone full time, but I work with maybe a rotating group of 10 to 15 subcontractors. And yeah, it's really cool. Like I like working with people. I like the work we're doing, like feeling like we're making a difference. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at the moment. Just a lot of sending emails.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Like you think when you make a company, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna be doing all this fun stuff. No, it's mainly admin work.
Working from a beach.
Yeah, no, like that doesn't. It's mainly like I most of what I do is not recording YouTube videos. It's emailing, managing people, and all this, and then maybe like for 20 minutes I get to record something. Like that's just how it is. Now you alluded to that you're gonna have some training for the hacking community. You said video content rather. Was it just content?
Oh, video content.
Yeah.
I just create videos on YouTube every now and then. To be honest, I haven't done it for a while, and I release maybe one video every 2 or 3 months. But yeah, it's something that I kind of do every now and then. But yeah, probably the best place to follow me would be on Twitter.
Okay, cool.
If you're looking for kind of regular updates, yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, Luke, I'm going to leave it here. Thanks for coming on. And everybody, if you want to follow Luke, check him out. You definitely should. All the links below. Just go do it.